Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Money Matters. And if you're liking this content regarding financial news, make sure you hit the like button and do pass on your comments regarding this particular news. If you have any sort of opinion, if you would like to know any financial news related to a particular sector, do drop in your feedback in the comments below. Now, starting off with the first piece of news, which is petrol and diesel prices as of today, which is January 5th. There's no change in the fuel rates, and petrol and diesel prices in India are unchanged across the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, etc. Petrol rate in Delhi stands at 95.41 rupees per liter, while diesel is 86.67. In Mumbai, it is retailing at rupees 109.98 rupees, which is petrol, and diesel is 94.14 rupees respectively. Now, prices have been stable since the central government cut excise duty to bring down retail rates from record highs. Now, public sector oil marketing companies, which is the OMCs, including Bharat Petroleum Corporation, which is the BPCL, Indian Oil Corporation, and Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, they revise the fuel prices daily in line with the benchmark of the international price and foreign exchange rates. So, based on all the foreign fuel prices, like the fuel price for India is sort of revised. Now, OMCs have neither raised nor reduced the petrol and diesel rates for more than 1.5 months, even as international oil prices remain volatile, with benchmark Brent crude plunging below $70 a barrel on November 30th from $84.78 per barrel on November 9th. Now, it has been more than 60 days now since petrol and diesel prices have seen any changes, except in Delhi, where petrol prices fell on December 1 after the local government reduced the VAT on petrol from 30% to 19.40%. Now, any changes in petrol and diesel prices are implemented with effect from 6 a.m. every day. Now, retail petrol, diesel prices differ from state to state on account of local taxes like VAT or freight charges. Now, the fuel prices across key cities were collectively revised on November 4th after the central government cut excise duties on petrol and diesel to bring down their retail rates from their record high gains. Now, crude oil prices moved up on Tuesday. Investors have started building bullish positions in the commodity, reassessing earlier assessments of how the Omicron variant could impact demand. Brent crude price was $1.02 or 1.3% higher, regaining the $80 per barrel mark. Now, while the prices of petrol and diesel prices are currently at a very high level, so it's quite interesting that during the COVID period, that people sort of stayed at home. There's like work from home for different companies, and you can imagine the rate of fuel consumption in India would have drastically reduced pre-COVID and post-COVID. I mean, like post-COVID era. So now it's like a sort of a positive thing that EV, which is electrical vehicles, have sort of the popularity is slowly increasing in India, especially. And while the prices of petrol and diesel prices are sort of they are like not coming down, or they are at a very high level at the moment. Now, many people are considering shifting to electrical vehicles, which is EVs. And one of the major deterrents people face against EVs is the fact that they are comparatively more expensive. So when you're buying a new electrical vehicle, it'll be slightly or like comparatively more expensive than if you're buying a petrol or diesel variant of of any car, like if it is Tata or if it is say Mahindra or Suzuki. Now, what I think is like it's like an investment from my point of view. Like if you are just traveling within the city and if you're not going long distance, I think it makes sense to invest in an electric vehicle, in my opinion, uh, compared to a petrol variant. Now, Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, he has stated that the cost of EVs in India will drop to the level of petrol vehicles in the next 2 years. So that'll be amazing. Like if it really happens as to what he says. Now, coming to the next piece of news. Now, coming to the pharma industry. Pharma industry registers a growth of 15%, 15% in 2021, led by a growth of COVID-19 products against a growth of 3% last year. This is according to Pharma Tech AWACS. Now, COVID therapy drugs grew 6.3% year on year in November 2021, supporting the overall India pharmaceutical market, which is the IPM, growth at 6.6%. Now, the India pharma industry has shown a double-digit growth of around 15%, led by growth of COVID-19 products in the last 1 year, as against the single-digit growth of 3% shown last year. Now, the Indian pharma industry would close the year 2021 with a robust double-digit growth between 13% and 15%. The growth for month of November 2021 has been around 7%, which is also an encouraging number. Now, I just go slightly off the topic. Like I've been researching, like I've been going to sort of various hospitals, asking doctors, and they say that the number of cases of common cold and influenza, and it has come down very drastically. In fact, it's a very interesting point to note because like everyone is wearing masks, literally everyone is wearing mask, and they have everyone is practicing social distancing, and so the common cold cases and fever has drastically come down, and that's an interesting point to note. Now, Sheetal Sapele, she is the president of marketing of Pharma Tech AWACS Private Limited, further added that the key aspects to point on the growth in pharma for the last 2 months is that it is mainly price driven, and it is a result of growth shown by majority of the molecules and not just the ones that have a role to play in COVID-19 treatment. Now, some therapies like high-end anti-infectives may show relatively high growth because the surgical procedures that were postponed in pandemic times may be getting cleared with the backlog. News about the third wave may create some apprehensions, but pharma industry seems to be well prepared with the production, distribution, promotion, availability plan. That's what she said. In the first half of 2021, we had a reasonable growth on account of COVID-related products like remdesivir and vitamins and minerals kind of supplemental products got a boost. Doctor-patient connect was less due to travel restrictions. This also led to much better hygiene practices due to adoption of COVID apt behavior, which is what I was talking to you earlier, and due to which non-COVID acute therapy business got impacted. But as the second wave started reducing, people started coming out of their homes and were exposed to climate and seasonal changes. Due to this COVID, sort of the number of COVID cases has come down, as you know, and it's just that only the Omicron cases are slightly increasing. But in my opinion, that as far as I know, or as far as what has been reported, there has been significantly less fatalities due to the Omicron variant. Now, the domestic market has done well for Indian pharma companies as against the export market. Strong domestic demand led by price hikes contributed to high double-digit growth this year. Now, on sales and revenue basis, this year the pharmaceutical market grew by 18.2% due to lower base of the last year and boost to nutritional supplement segment and higher demand for antibiotics and antiviral. Now, pharma growth, however, may slow down next year as demand for antiviral drugs has seen significant decline, and there would be normalization of growth in antibiotics and nutritional supplements. Currently, one of the key challenges is the rise in raw materials prices that the industry is facing. So now the raw material prices are sort of increasing. So you would ask me, where is India importing the pharmaceutical raw materials? So can you have a guess? Like, you can just pause this video and you can tell me in the description below as to which country India is importing, the pharmaceutical raw materials from. So yeah, so the answer is China. Now, if you look at this infographic, India relies solely on Chinese imports for 8 out of 68 APIs. So, what is APIs? APIs is active pharmaceutical ingredients. Now, so mainly penicillin, which accounts to 100% imports, levodopa, 100, tetracycline, which is 77, potassium clavulinate, which is 69, acyclovir, which is 66. So you can imagine that 8 out of 68 APIs, India is sort of importing these raw materials from China. Now, coming to the next piece of news. Now, BMW, which is the luxury car in brand, BMW had it's doing quite well in India, and the BMW 3 Series and 5 Series continued their traditional role as strong contributors in the sedan segment. And German auto luxury car makers BMW Group has achieved the highest growth in India in a decade by delivering 8,876 cars, which includes BMW and Mini, and 5,191 motorcycles in 2021. So now exclusive editions launched specifically for Indian customers in the festive season also received a tremendous response. So what does this say? Like, why am I telling you this? Because like there's a significant portion of Indian middle class, which is doing reasonably well, and they are the sort of consumers which are sort of buying these luxury cars. Now, if you look at the luxury car market share in India, Mercedes stands number one, and with a market share of 41%. This is of the year 2021. Then second comes BMW, third comes Audi, and all the other brands. Now, coming to the last piece of news, it is like India sort of, China. China has a real crisis in hand. So China's strong 100 are now drowning, and it will cost China almost 30% of its GDP. China's real estate crisis has derailed a strong 100. So what is the strong 100? Now, this is a term which is used to describe the top 100 real estate companies in China. Now, this is a huge setback for Chinese real estate market that contributes heavily to the Chinese GDP. In 2020, real estate investments across China reached $2.2 trillion, and China's GDP for the same year stood at $15.8 trillion. Now, so real estate investments made up 14% of the Chinese GDP. Now, it is commonly accepted that 30% of China's GDP is dependent on real estate development. So you can imagine that 30% of China's GDP is dependent on real estate. Now, China's economy is in serious trouble, and things only look bleak from here. So you see, it all started with the Evergrande crisis, and the collapse of one real estate agent has set a chain reaction with a series of big real estate developers defaulting on debt payments. Before Evergrande, four companies, which is namely Fantasia Holdings, Cynic Holdings, Modern Land China, and China Properties, defaulted on offshore notes. Evergrande has itself defaulted already over its failure to make two coupon payments by the end of its grace period. Now, Shimao Group Holdings Limited, another real estate agent of China, is on the verge of collapse as well. And the strong 100 companies too seem to be moving in a downward spiral. So, six companies in China have been hit by the ongoing real estate collapse. And as a repercussion of this turmoil, the future of real estate development in China is looking bleak. So so it's like China is undergoing a real estate crisis, and you can imagine that 30% of the Chinese GDP is dependent on the real estate market. And when the real estate market takes a hit like this, when the top real estate companies are defaulting on their payments, so you can imagine that the country of China is, taking a hit, especially with the border tensions between China and India. And so this is all the news for today, and I hope to see you tomorrow.